Now, why is it that we need to be baptized? And here's a simple reason. It is aside from the fact that it's a command, it's a public profession of faith. It's your public declaration of faith. And here's what Jesus said. He said, if you will confess me before men, I will confess you before my Father. If you will not confess me, if you deny me before man, I will deny you before my Father. Boy, that's pretty extreme stuff. And at some point in our faith, we have to have that moment where we have a public declaration of our faith. And I think that's where baptism comes in. And you've probably been to a baptism here. You know how it works. We get our baptismal candidates, and we get them up here, and then we go down the line, and we let each one of them declare why they're being baptized, and each one of them makes this public declaration of faith. And we have this odd idea in our culture that needs to be done the moment someone comes to Christ. And you know, people always tell me, they say, Pastor Mark, you're doing the altar call wrong. I said, what? They said, you're not doing it like Billy Graham. You're supposed to call people forward, and they're supposed to come to the front, and they're supposed to repent publicly of their sin. To which I say, why don't you come to the front and confess publicly of your sin and lead by example? Why do you want these people who have just walked into the church to come to the front and publicly declare their sin, for goodness sakes? And here's the thing, the point that I make for people. I'm not criticizing Billy Graham and how he does it. He was wonderful and masterful at what he did. But we don't do altar calls in this church. We don't call people to the altar. We give an invitation. That thing we do at the end of our message, it's not an altar call. It's an invitation. It's an invitation for people to begin the journey to discovering Christ. And that's why we do it gently, and that's why we do it anonymously, and that's why we start this journey. But then what we do at some point, we want them to come up at their baptism and make that public declaration of faith. Because you know what? They're obviously, if they're getting water baptized, they're obviously ready to make that public declaration. That's what it's all about. I mean, it's so weird. Why do we do baptism? I mean, if you're an alien from outer space and you look down at a church service where they're baptizing people, you take people, they're fully, semi-sane people, fully dressed. You take them down into a tank of water, and the pastor grabs them and holds them down under the water. People will be looking from outer space and say, I guess that's church discipline. That guy must have done something really bad. Look how long he held him under the water. He's like really punishing that guy. No, that's not what it's about. See, when you're being water baptized, you're telling the world, I am not ashamed of Jesus Christ and the power of the gospel. That's what you're saying.